It's that time again where I buy faulty electronic devices, attempt to fix them and sell them on for a profit. Before I crack on with the repair, we're currently at a total profit of £1,487.71. The target for this series is £2,000. Are we going to go over that £1,500 total profit in today's video? Let's find out. People were asking me in a recent live stream, Joey, where is your baker's mat? Please don't tell us it's gone. It's right here. Ugh, I cannot lie to you. I have no idea what the packaging of this device is. It's a cardboard box sellotaped onto a plastic bag. I mean, obviously, if it works, it works. I paid a grand total of £158.41 for this PlayStation 5 console. The listing states, "Hi, I'm selling this non-working PS5 console. It was working, then just stopped. A friend of mine who does electronic repairs had a look, but could not fix it, so I'm selling for parts and maybe repair. The console has no power or lights when the button is pressed." Lovely jubbly bubbly. For those who don't know, I like having no power PS5 repairs. A lot of the time it can just be something like a shorted capacitor or something that stops it from turning on. Let's hope that is the case with this one. Removing the plate. His friend has had a look at it as well, so I need to bear that in mind just in case I see anything kind of funky with the situation. Just going to take this off. Got a habit of taking that off. And then I'm going to test and make sure that it is definitely no powerino. Here we go. So power cable is in 3, 2, 1. Nothing. Just give it a couple of presses. No beeps, bongs, nothing like that. Cool. As described, no power, and I'll be honest with you, it looks like all of the screws have gone back in the correct places. I mentioned this before, but when a lot of people say on their listings, "My friend has had a look at it," a lot of the time it can mean themselves, and they just don't like to admit that potentially they might have done something wrong that's broken the device, perhaps in the event of them trying to clean it and they've knocked a component or whatever the case may be. I will try and use my investigation skills to see if I could put a little bit of that story together. I wonder why his friend couldn't fix it. It would have been interesting to have that information on the listing as well. Let's crack on with disassembling it. This is an OG version. I think it's a 1016A, to be honest. It is, which is the oldest revision model of PS5. A good thing, to be honest, because I've got plenty of these power supplies and parts in case anything's needed. Here we go. First stage liftoff. What have we got? Can tell a lot just by this. Has UART been done? Oh, it does look like some of those solder pads. Oh, there's a bit of flux here as well. So when I touch here, I can feel it a little bit fluxy. Can I see anything on the reflection? Not so much, but it does feel a tad fluxy here. So it does look like the person's tried UART. Also, it looks like this sticker has been lifted off as well, which indicates that the heatsink has been pulled out of the console. I'm guessing maybe they've tried a new power supply and gone off of that. Let's carry on with taking this apart. That is quite sticky as well, so flux has gone inside the connector for the LEDs. This doesn't even feel like it's been taken off. It's very possible that they actually took this side out and lifted the disk drive and just left that cable in, but these wires have definitely come up before because you can tell it's ripped down here. Look. Whoever's put this back together is definitely competent. It's amazing how much you can know just from somebody putting screws back in the correct places, I should add. Right, any previous work taking place? One more screw, Joey, what are you doing? Any previous work? Let's have a look. What do my eyes see? I see flux around here. I see flux around here. Oh dear. Whoa, up to the M.2 holder as well. That looks like that's been absolutely chomped on by something / someone. I'll have to see if the M.2 actually goes in there and sits nicely and connects, etc. when I go to test this device. I can see a lot of heat behind the SSD controller as well. You should be able to see a slight discoloration here. It's a little bit more browner, which means that it's had quite a bit of heat on top of it. That looks like a big scratch as well from where I see the back of the HDMI encoder IC. And there also looks to be quite a bit of flux and heat underneath the South Bridge. The South Bridge IC goes here on the other side, and again I can see quite a bit of flux. This, my friends, looks to be not such a simple repair. As what I stated at the beginning, lovely jubbly, a nice little shorted cap might be preventing this PlayStation 5 console from turning on, I should say, but that is not the case. Just undo the APU clamp quickly as well. I don't know where to start with this. I don't know where to start. Let's just ignore all of the flux and everything that I have around the whole board. The RAM chips don't look like they've been changed as well. There is flux or something next to the clamp. I don't want to look at the underside of this console, I'll be honest with you. First things first, we have our multimeter here, and I'm going to measure. I'm going to measure in DC voltage mode and see if I get all of my rails. I'm looking for 12 volts, 3.3, 5, and potentially some others, but we'll go and start with the simple ones first. Here we are. What have we got? We've got the 12. That is good. That indicates that the power supply is okay and we don't have a short on the 12 volt line. Do we have our 5? We do have our 5. Do we have our 3.3? Oh, 3.3 is missing, are you, my friend? Let me just confirm and make sure my multimeter isn't playing me up like it has done on several thousand occasions before. Nope, we are definitely missing the 3.3 volt rail. Okay, so that is where our short is. Could still be a plethora of things, but really good to know that that is the rail that's missing. So let's take out this board, and it's going to have that horrendously disgusting thermal putty underneath holding the board in place, because the original consoles had that. Yes, I am correct. This stuff, ugh, disgusting. Okay. My initial thoughts were right. I think I can see that the SSD controller has been changed, and also the South Bridge. Oh, Lord of Glove, we are going to have a fun one here. Let's go underneath the scope. This SSD controller looks like it's seen much better days. Let's check it under the scope. Right, whatever you're seeing, I'm going to see for the first time as well. Okay, so we're going to go through this together. We can see a bunch of flux. You can see all of that. What is that? That's some spider's nest or something. Oh, they're solder balls. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Looks like we've got a bunch of cleaning up to do as well. Oi, 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 oi. Hopefully, I can get this board looking like brand new if we can actually manage to fix it, first of all. Look, this is just to show you, right? We've got little fluxy areas here, right? If I just run some isopropyl alcohol over this area with a cotton swab and then just come in with the dry side, look how much of a difference this makes underneath the scope. Look how much cleaner that looks already, you know? Just little details like that will set you apart from everyone else in the competition. Here's the... Oh... Okay, I think this chip has been changed as well because there's a bunch of flux. Unless this is flux that's come from the chip above the SSD controller. Look at this. If they put it on the correct way, they have, because you can see the arrow here lines up with the arrow that we have here. But this chip looks absolutely cooked beyond belief. We have a 62GG SSD controller. There is so much flux underneath this chip, as well as this is the cache IC, I'm pretty sure, for the SSD. And let me just put this up a little bit, and I'll show you an indication of exactly what's gone on underneath here if I can angle it correctly. You know what? Underneath it looks all right. There's just a bunch of flux. So underneath that looks okay. What about the SSD controller? How does that look? Do those balls under the SSD controller look okay? Ooh, you see how that SSD controller looks flat, especially over here? See if I can grab my tweezers and show you without destroying myself. Where are we? There we are. So you see how here, this is like really, really flat. I think there's some combined balls under here. Now, I'm really hoping the board isn't warped, which will prevent me from putting an SSD controller on properly when I come to reflow. I think this one here, this SSD cache IC, which if I just put into focus now, it sits above. I'm pretty sure this is factory, and that we just have flux that's come over from the person replacing the SSD controller. Let's check the other side of the SSD controller. Do we have the same sort of story here? I mean, that looks all right. Again, just a bunch of flux underneath. Yeah, same sort of story here. You see that chip just doesn't seem like it's flat to me, and I'm really, really worried now that actually the board is warped, which is why that is just not sitting flat, but could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And this is the final side and the final look at the SSD controller. Yeah, it's not on correctly here. You can see those balls are a little bit lopsided. Okay, what about the South Bridge? These are basically the two main ICs that we have on the PlayStation 5, by the way. Yeah, that is either flux in the bottom right just here. That is either going to be some sort of flux. Don't write this off and think that these balls are joined. Could be flux, or it could be that the solder balls have joined together and they're holding hands. The fact that we have the 3.3 volt line missing usually comes directly from the South Bridge, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that that is where we have our main power on issue. But obviously, with the SSD controller being in the state it's in, that is a bridge. I'm pretty confident in saying. Just turn my light off. But over here, I think that is a solder bridge rather than just flux that's joined together. Just down here. So yeah. Both chips need to come off, basically, is what I'm saying. And don't get me wrong, it's not a horrendous attempt at all. It looks like they've replaced this chip, by the way. What's the bet in that maybe this was like just no display before it went to no power? Because that looks like it's been changed. That cap there and these caps look like they've had solder on and that they've been swapped out, perhaps. Same with this one. Look, I think these have been swapped out. So my guess is that actually we had no display on this console. They tried to do something on the South Bridge. Maybe they messed something up, and now we actually have no power. I'm just checking the encoder IC. I don't know if that's been changed. It's got flux around it, I think, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that that hasn't been changed, to be honest. And the HDMI port, is that? I think that's factory. Do you know what? I don't know. Usually I can tell pretty much straight away, but I'll be honest. I think that might have been changed, but it looks really good like factory. Yeah, I think this has been changed because of, you see how it says Lux Share on this? I think this is an aftermarket port. If so, that's a really clean job. Really, really clean. I was saying that, it's still got this little bit on the back, and maybe that has been burned a little bit, but... And this looks factory as well. These sold... I don't understand. Oh, no, I've just looked at another PS5 port that I removed, and that's Luxshare as well. So I actually think that this is a factory port. Actually, I think it's factory port. You know why I really dislike these situations where I now have to remove the south bridge is because I don't know what the status of the pads are going to be like underneath this chip, and that is what I am concerned and worried about. I've also got my fume extractor on, and it's on very powerful, like literally max, and the reason being is because I don't know what flux this person's used or solder, etc. So I need that on high. Things to prep. I've got my braid ready to go so that when this is hot, I can come in with my braid pretty much straight away and clean the area up. That, as well as the flux, is also handy. It's very, very doubtful that the solder that they've used is going to be unleaded. I think it's going to be leaded, so it might be quite easy for me to remove, but it all depends. So here we go. I'm going 480 degrees Celsius here to just straight up get this off the board. Spreading the heat around a little bit first, just to get the board up to a good temperature. And I cannot wait to give this a clean. Look at that flux bubbling out. Wow. So much flux left underneath this IC. I could just attempt to reflow, but I'm just gonna swap it out completely. When there's flux underneath the Southbridge IC, this can actually mess with the crystal. I found this out via Toltec Merc, who is another repair channel on YouTube. He's absolutely fantastic, very, very knowledgeable. And leaving flux underneath the Southbridge can affect the crystal, which can in turn affect the console turning on. So it's always really important to try and clean up your flux as much as possible, especially around the Southbridge. Right, that's just about coming loose now. Let's get it removed. Nice clean extraction. Pads look alright, I'll be honest. So far anyway, on the face of it. So I'm going to add some more flux here. And now the board is really, really hot, so this is good. I come in with my flux, and we wick it up. Cut the wick. Person who worked on this before, I'll tell you what, has done a good job. These pads are all pretty clean. None of them are lifted or anything like that. Done a good job. So shout out. I'm just going to come in with my microfiber just to give it a nice clean with the isopropyl alcohol as well. Right, how does that look? I think we look alright. We look good. Whilst I'm here, 2 birds, 1 stone and all that, I'm going to take off the SSD controller as well, whilst we got that little bit of residual heat in the board, and do the exact same with the wick. Wow, same thing. Look at all that flux pouring out. I'm not saying that when you try to remove flux, it has to be perfect. I'm not saying that at all, so please don't think that. It's just with this, you'll see what I do. I give it a nice clean out with a can of air and push the flux out from underneath the IC. There comes that. Pad's looking all right again. Can't really tell until we get all the solder off mine. Let's clean it up. I'm going very lightly here. Tell you what, this one's definitely not coming up easy like the Southbridge was. This is obviously on a much bigger plane as well, so it is more difficult. Yeah, we can see here, look, I need more heat in the board. That's what I need to do in this situation, as well as maybe use a bigger tip here. So I'll come in again and just dump some heat into the board. There we go. That looks better. There is still a couple of little areas which need a tiny bit of wicking just there. Perfect. There we go. I think we might need to cover up some areas here. I'm not too sure though. We'll soon find out. And now I've gone to wipe that with a microfiber cloth and it's not cleaned it all up. And the reason being is because the board's gone cold again. So again, I'm going to come in with some hot air. Warm up that flux to make it easier to remove. There's going to be flux under this chip as well. So what I'm going to do, just give that a little spray as well. Guarantee as well we'll have that flux underneath the SSD chips, which is these ones on the outside. We'll have a bunch of flux under there also. Okay, well that doesn't look too bad. We've got a couple of areas that have some solder mask that's come off, or conformal coating, whatever you want to call it. But to be honest with you, it's not even, I mean, you can see there's a couple of areas here. This is all probably ground, I think, but it doesn't look too bad on the face of it. Like I said, a couple tiny areas that we can cover up, but nothing massive. That's good. I call that a successful removal, considering that somebody's already replaced this once, so we like that. Right, let's take a quick breather for a sec. I'm just going to double check this rail and see if we have a short on the 3.3 volt line, because there's no point in me going through the whole rigmarole of replacing the SSD controller and Southbridge if I've still got an issue that I can rectify whilst those components are off. So here I've got my multimeter in continuity mode. I'm just going to put that there. No, that's open line, so we don't have a short there. What about here? Nope. So we don't have a short on a 3.3 volt rail, which again is more leading to the fact that it was indeed the Southbridge, and that's the 5 volt rail, and again, okay. I'm just going to swing by all of the fuses here and just make sure that also none of these are blown, but I won't take you on that journey. I'll just confirm in a second. Checking the fuses, all seems to be okay. I've also just gone around on a few of the main caps that I would consider like common faulty caps, and I can't see that anything's shorted. So I am starting to wonder, maybe all this needs is an SSD controller and a south bridge, which, trust me, is not necessarily an easy feat. But if that's all this needs, I know I can fix it. I'm not going to be using the same components that I've just taken on the board. I'm going to use some from my inventory. And the reason being is because I don't know if those chips are faulty. I've got no idea. Only thing being is that I don't have any in stock. So I need to rummage through some donor boards, take those chips off, and then go through the reballing process. For those of you who might not know, sometimes I live stream, and I took that opportunity to reball some SSD controllers and south bridges. Specifically, I done 2 of each, just in case for whatever reason one of them didn't work. I go live both on YouTube and Twitch. I'll leave the Twitch link down below in the description. So now it's time to crack on and put these chips on the board. Is it gonna work? Right, there are a few minuscule places that I need to put some solder mask, and I've now got new gloves on as well, so this is going to be tricky, because when I put new gloves on, this is my finger and it's so clean that it's actually like a little bit sticky and it feels super weird. So it actually takes me like 3 or 4 sort of fixes to break them in, if that makes sense. So I'm just covering up some of the loose places I have here. They're exposing a tiny bit of mask, and it's not that many, to be honest. I think it'll need to be a little bit more on the SSD controller, and then we'll go over this with a UV light to cure it. To be honest, this looks okay. And again, even the SSD controller isn't that bad now that I look at it from this sort of angle. Put a blob on the side. A lot easier to put a blob here rather than going back and forth to the actual syringe. I actually think he's used solder mask before. Can you see down here, look? In the bottom left here. So I think the previous tech has already done it. A little bit of solder masking, that is. Now it's time to actually put the Southbridge chip on. It feels kind of cool being able to say, yep, and here's one I prepared earlier. So this is one from the live stream. I've purposely left quite a bit of flux underneath the Southbridge, just where the balls are. And that's because I'm starting to use less flux now when it comes to putting these bigger chips on. Less flux equals less mess equals happier Joey. So I think we can put this on this way. We've got the little dot down here that you can't really see right now to line up with the arrow, and this is going to be difficult because look how sticky, not just the flux on the chip, but my glove is as well. So trying to sit this down is going to be a little bit of a nightmare, I feel. First off, warming the board and getting that up to a good temperature so that it accepts this new Southbridge chip. Let's grab a tiny bit of flux now just to wet the pads, and I'll come in with a cotton swab just like that. Go a little bit more here. There we go. Grab our chip and put it in place. Does that all line up? Yes, it does. And now we can go for the reflow. I'm going to go 450 degrees Celsius here and 99% airflow, so I keep it 99. Let's go. Here we go. Southbridge. Wish me luck. There it moves. See that? It's holding the heat to make sure it's definitely soldered. Okay. And again, now whilst the board is hot, I'm just going to come straight over to the SSD controller. Put this on as well. What do I feel like? That's covered with solder mask. There we go. Same sort of story. Obviously, it has to be a little bit more because it's a bigger surface area. Line up the arrow with the arrow. Right, I think that's going to be good for reflowing purposes. Let's take this a bit higher. Same story here, 450 degrees Celsius, 99% airflow. Here we go. There it goes. See it move into place? Just there. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. Keep that hot air on just for a little bit longer, just to make sure we're all good. Perfect. Now I'm going to go back over to Southbridge with the hot air here just to melt that flux and now give it a clean. Right, now let's inspect the corners of these chips and just make sure we're okay. I mean, that looks good to me. That's one side of the SSD controller. How does this side look? That also looks good. This side. Yeah, looking nice. Those white bits are just going to be little bits of residual leftover flux. All those balls look like they're at least making a connection, which is really nice. So all 4 sides of the SSD controller is okay. Let's check the Southbridge as well. All good that side. All good that side. All the balls making a connection. This is really good. And this was with like minimal flux used, you know. Really good that side as well. And this side. Cool. No bridges. All looks okay. Sweet. So I think I'm literally ready for the test now. I'm a bit nervous. I'll even let my coffee go cold. Who knows? I don't even know if this is actually going to work. Maybe the HDMI port, not even the port, sorry, the image is maybe still busted is what I'm assuming. Because remember, this probably was repaired for that. First off, I'm taking a guess and a punt here. Or maybe we still just straight up have no power. Here we go. Liquid metal has been sorted. Do we at least get power now? Or is this still going to be dead? Nerve-wracking. Plugging in. I've seen this issue before. Where have I seen that issue before where that lights up? I'm pretty sure it's this. I'm pretty sure it's the cable. Wait a minute, because I said this was quite fluxy, right? Wait there. We got a light, which is something that we didn't have before. Remember I said over here it felt quite fluxy. It might be playing with the ribbon itself, or the actual ribbon just might be faulty. Let's try that again and see if this light comes on, because if it does, like I said, I think it might be something to do with the ribbon, or that connector at least. Going to plug it in. Does that light come on? No. Okay, hold on. Hold on. It's just little things like this that you pick up, and sometimes they can really help. But this light didn't flash this time. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I got a beep, but no LEDs. I wonder if this is just... Yeah, look. It was on. The PS5 was on, and I've just shorted something out here with the cable. I don't believe it. Right, so I think I've just turned it on. Wait there. Let me plug in the HDMI cable and see if I get a display. It's really, really, really anticlimactic, wasn't it? Do I get an output? No, I don't get an output, but I think it's on. I'm going to push the power button one more time, because it could well be on now. Let me check HDMI again. No, it's not on. But, I mean, what we do get now is a beep on and a beep off. However, I'm just a little bit concerned, because this cable here, this front little panel connector LED ribbon cable thing, I did see a white light which would indicate that the console's on. So my thought now is that we still have an issue with the HDMI, which is what I called and said that there's something wrong with this circuit, because I believe this console's turning on. I'm just going to check over here and see what's going on, because the cable itself actually looks okay, and I'm worried it's going to be the actual connector. When I say worried per se, I'm not exactly worried, because we'll be able to fix it. But how's the actual cable? I mean, the cable itself looks okay. It's a little bit lopsided, but it's the same with this as well. Now it goes in a-okay. It feels a little bit loose in there, but it seems to be all right. I actually think we've got a beep on, beep off now. I think we got a beep on, beep off, because look, if I turn it off, there, I can put this cable in a position whereby, there we go. So it's on, right there, and it turns off. But it was going to a white light. So maybe the cable is stopping it going to a white light right there. It's on again, blue light, and turns off. But I did see it go to a white light. I did. Oh, wait, there we go. Oh, that's not a white light. Well, it's a mixture of blue and white. It's a mixture of blue and white, and it's because of the cable. I think it's on, because I don't think it would do that if it was off, right? Maybe it's like restoring console database or something, because that to me screams it is on. I can't be sure though. It's really annoying, because again, if I now plug in HDMI, I'm not getting anything on the screen. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening when I'm holding down the power button. So I believe that this is just causing issues. I need to swap out the cable. Failing that, I'm going to have to swap out the actual connector and see what's going on. I knew this wasn't going to be a straightforward one, hey? I had the exact same one of these recently, whereby somebody had just screwed through the ribbon cable, and that causes a bunch of errors. Just imagine that this was the actual issue the second time round. Maybe it had no display, like I said, the first time round, but the second time round was just this cable causing intermittent issues. First of all, how does it feel going into the... Oh, that feels so much better going into the connector. All right, here we go. Let's see what actually happens now. Can we confirm it's going to be a beep on, beep off, or is it going to be something else? Put the cable down. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so blue light. Good. I mean, it's a solid blue light, which means the actual connector itself is okay, and it was just this ribbon cable. Does it go to a white light, or does it turn off? It does turn off. So it is a beep on, beep off, which is fine. I'm okay with that, but this wasn't helping me in that situation. It was confusing me a bunch. So now that I've confirmed that, what I can do is I can hook you up. My hair's all over the place. I can hook you up to this and see exactly now what the error is that we're getting. I think the South Bridge and the SSD controller is going to be okay, because we're getting that initial boot. We get the blue light come on. I'm hoping it's just going to be something that says, you know, it's going to be the HDMI retimer IC, and I'm like, wicked, that's awesome, and I just have to change that out. Or it could be a really annoying sort of error. Let's hook up you out and find out. Lord the glove, do I have something positive to show you. Do you know how much this is music to my ears? HDMI IC problem or power failure. Oh, or power failure. Oh, I didn't see that part. HDMI IC problem. That's the part I'm looking at. So I'm going to probably change out the HDMI IC, aka the encoder, where the HDMI port is. Pretty sure. Did I check around that? I'm pretty sure I did. Maybe I didn't. Please be retimer and not power failure. Please be retimer and not power failure. I'm manifesting it. Here art thou, a HDMI encoder, and there is flux around it, but again, that could be from anywhere. I can't remember if I said earlier on in the video if I thought this has been changed or not, but regardless, I'm just going to measure on a couple of the caps and see if we've got a short here. Meters in continuity mode, which is the mode that beepity beeps. Let's see what the situation is. 600, 600, 600, 600. Well, it's not looking good because we're getting an okay reading here. 600, 600, nothing there. That's a resistor. I wonder if I've got a short in any of this area where I don't talk about this chip here. 600, that's okay. Just quickly, the area on the back as well, which is where, by the looks of it, they've done some work. What's the story here? Checking if there's any shorts at all. So it could just be a case we need to replace the HDMI encoder. Or there could be something more at fault here, which I'm leaning towards something more at fault because, again, it looks like they've done a bunch of work. So I'm thinking the worst right now, you know? Side note, I've just looked in a bag and I found a bunch. When I say a bunch, I found 2 additional South bridges that I've actually gone ahead and rebought already. I'm going to pretend like I didn't see that. I'm just going to use this Panasonic chip from a donor. Okay, here we go. I do have a special set of tweezers for this, which are quite big, and these are the iFixit ones. We're going 480 degrees Celsius, 99% airflow, just to remove this chip. Now, I'm a big fan of not even replacing the solder here, by the way, because there's nothing wrong with the solder itself. It's going to be the actual IC. If that is our issue. A little bit of flux here. Assist us. There we go. Same solder. Couple of taps. Should be good. Haven't needed to massively push down on the chip. Like I said, I give it a little bit of a tap just to make sure that those solder connections were connecting. And I'll double check everything in a second anyway. That's dry now. So again, coming with the microfiber. Clean that flux up whilst the board is hot. Makes our lives 1,000 times easier. Let's check the IC and make sure it's all soldered on correctly. That looks okay to me. This side, all good. This side, all good. And last but not least, looks all okay to me. Attempt number 40,675. Is that going to have fixed our issue? To be fair, I've not even spent that long working on this one. It's just been over the course of a couple of days, so feels longer than what it actually is. Right, liquid metal and everything is sorted. So just in case it does work, it's okay to just be left in the state that it is in. Big moment of truth. Here we go. All right, nerve-wracking. Plug in the HDMI whilst we're here. I'm not doing that funky thing anymore with this, with the blue light, because of the cable being okay now. Right, 3, 2, 1. Please stay on. I mean, it's turning on, which is a good thing. I'm not broken it any more than what it was, which is good. Please don't turn off. Yes, go to a white. No! Oh, so close. That was a teasing one, man. Okay, this is not good. So I'm going to try it again, just to make sure. Could be anything, if that is the case, yeah. Turning off. I'll see if the UART code has changed, but it could be anything. It could be absolutely anything. If it is just a general power failure, that is not good. Let me check UART again. We have the exact same issue. So unless that HDMI retimer that I put on is bust, which I don't think it is because it came from a donor board, I don't know what this is going to be. I'm going to have to spend a little bit of time just analysing the board and going over it. And if I find anything, I'll give you an update in a second. On that note, I have just found something very interesting, literally as I stop recording. So I've put my ground probe here, and I'm in DC voltage mode, right? I'll try and get a bit closer. Here we have a component that has 5 volts in standby on the left-hand side, as we can see on the top right hand of your screen right now. We've got 5.1 volts. After that, we have 0 volts. What we should have is 5 volts when we push the power button on. So if I go ahead and push the power button, that was it, just turning off actually. Wait there, wait for it to turn on. So the machine's on now, and look what we're drawing. Nothing. And it looks like they've potentially changed out this component before. So do you know what? I think we maybe have a faulty chip here, which I'm going to investigate. Right, so let's have a look at it. Why does, I mean, this looks bad, right? This looks so, A, fluxy. B, it just looks like it's got a bunch of stuff over it. I thought I just cleaned this as well. So what's happened here? Let's go into diode mode here and just see what we got on the left, because we know that the left is okay. So what do we get here? Here we get 3, 2, 3, 4, and then on the right we get 4, 9. If we go through in diode mode, what do we get? 1.5 climbing, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8. It's just going up, hey? 2.4 volts. 2.5, that's crazy. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me check this side. So just confirm, black is on the left and red is on the right. What do we get this time? Open line. Okay. Well, what about any of the other pads? Do we get anything weird? Any other weird readings? 4, 6 there. What do we get here? 4, 9. Looks like it's ground. That is ground. And this one? 0.44. Take donor, for example. What do we get on this side? 0.5. What do we get through here and here? Because before it was just going up on the other one, right? Is it just going to go up on this one? Yeah, it is. Look, 1.2, 1.35. It's doing pretty much the exact same as what the other one is. 4.9 there. So it's similar, right? Open line. I'm just going to, I'll swap the chip out, I guess. Or unless, wait, we do have a couple of, I was going to say a couple of diodes, which are over here, but I've just noticed this little, I think it's just a bit of flux. Here we've got these diodes here, which can often go bad, as well as maybe the resistor. So let me just check the circuit here as well. 0.63 that way on that one. 6.3 on that one as well. Flip the leads. Open line. Open line. Can't remember what we're supposed to get. So again, this is the donor. So we're looking for 6.3 and open line. Well, that's open line. So that's okay on the donor board. Do we get 6.3 the other way? Ooh, we get 7.3. Check this one. 7.3 as well. So is that the resistors? Let me check the resistance of these resistors. 1.8k, 1.8k on both of those resistors. Check these ones. And it looks like both the diodes and the resistors have not been changed on this board. 1.8, 1.8. So they're actually okay. It's the diodes that are reading a little bit different. Here we get 0.63 and on the other ones we get 0.7. So what I'm going to do, right, I don't know if it's this chip or I don't know if it's the diodes. I'm going to change the chip first. Then we'll check, and then if that doesn't work, we'll check the diodes. So you're going to check this resistor, 67, 68k. I get the same on the donor as well, I've just checked. So everything measures okay on this chip, but I'm just going to change it regardless. Right, there we go. That's been changed now. Let's see what happens. Now to confirm, all I want to really see here is the 5 volts. So we're going to have 5 volts in standby now, right? Yeah, we've got 5 volts standby. So what I now need to see is 5 volts over here when I push the power button in 3, 2, 1. No, still no. We got the light come on, but we still don't get 5 volts here. No, no. So something else. I'm going to change the diodes then and see if they're the issue. Could also be, I've just had a thought, it could be Y09 on the back, and again I'll show you that in a second. I'm just putting the last diode on here. I'm just going to try my hardest to measure these diodes quick. These are the ones that I took off. Now that they're out of circuit, what do we actually get? 7.4 that way. Well, they definitely weren't 7.4 on the board, were they? 7.4. Yeah, these diodes are okay, you know. I'm pretty sure. I wonder now then, if I measure on this board, which is the board we're working on, do I get that 6 reading? Yeah, look, 5.6. Something's dragging it down. So the diodes themselves are actually okay. I think something else is dragging it down, but what is the question? Let's check Y09 here, because this also has 5 volts, I'm pretty sure. So in diode mode, I think it's this rail here. What do we get? 3.1, and here we get 4.1. On a donor, we get 4.4. and 3.6, but the board could be a little bit toasty. Everything's a little bit lower on this board. So for example, I get 4.2 up here, 0.42. If I go over to a donor and just measure it off camera, I get 4.4. Again, board could be warm, which is going to be affecting it. Down here on this, I get 4.4. On the donor in the same location, I get 4.7, 4.8. And if I measure here, which I think is the main rail for the 5 volts, what do we get? 3.3. So I get 0.33 on the donor, 3.6. Everything seems to be a little bit lower, but I don't know if that's going to be that chip. I think it's something else. Something is stopping that 5 volts from going through, but I just don't know what. On a donor, I get 0.18 here, and here I get 0.1. Look at that. That's a big difference. This chip here. Why is that such a big difference here? So again, I measure here, 0.1. And if I measure on the same place on the donor, 0.2, pretty much 0.18, minimum 0.18, 0.19. So is it this little chip that's causing our issue? Perhaps 0.1. Yeah, it's a big difference. That's not due to heat either. Let me, I'm going to swap that chip over. That's the biggest difference I think so far anyway. So it'll be interesting if I swap this over and we get some sort of different reading, you know? So I'm now looking for something higher than 0.9 in diode mode. What do I get now, even though it's going to be very, very hot? Do we still get 0.9? 0.0? Yeah, it's not going to be right, is it? It's not going to be right. This is a different board that has all of the components on and works. It just buzzes when it's on. Let's have a look. What do we get here? Yeah, so we get 1.8 here actually. 1.8 as well. Okay. And here we get 3.1 and 3.6. 1.8, 3.1, 3.6. 3.1, 3.6. Pretty much will go up. I think it's just a little bit warm still. But this 0.08. Something's going on with this rail here. What's this resistor saying here? 1k. This one, 1.1k. Checking on a donor, we've got this should be 1.3. which again, board is relatively hot. And this one is meant to be 1.1, which it pretty much is. So on the board we're working on, I get 0.48 in voltage drop here, diode mode. And on the known working one, which I'm going to plug in just to verify, we get the 5 volts here. 0.49, so it's pretty much identical, right? Again, the other board being a little bit warm. Yeah, 4.8 and 4.9. So that rail looks okay. I have changed the diode, so I'm just going to power up the one we've been working on. See if there is any change there, even though the diode's measured fine. Could there be something else that was going on? I don't know. So again, right, DC voltage, cable's in. We don't get anything here. Let's go to power it on. Oh, we get it. Oh, but it turned off really quickly this time. But I still get voltage here. Whoa, 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 whoa. What happened? 5 volts here. 1.1. Well, it didn't like something. Let's try again. I think we're going to have something different now. Must have been one of those diodes went then. But they were measuring okay out of circuit. I haven't changed anything else other than that. Oh, I've changed the other chip, haven't I? But I do get 5 volts come through there now, which I didn't have before. There it goes. You see how it goes up to 5 volts? I didn't have that before. And I changed that square looking chip. It's not because the clamp's not down, is it? It should stay on longer than that. Just to rule it out though, I'm going to put a bit of pressure on here. See if it stays on for a bit longer. No. Okay, well we've got at least, you know, a newish sort of error right now. Beep on, beep off is a lot quicker this time round. Now it's 0.14 in that area. Might do UART now and see if I get a different code. Why not? Watch it now say, congrats Joey, the APU is cooked. That would be just my luck. I do have new codes. Let me enter them live with you. Here we go. Here's the first one. No, 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 not TPM. Not TPM, please. Surely not. That can't be possible. Let me check the other one. Please, please, please. But, what? TPM? No. They're both TPM, 0003, and this one is 00014. They're both TPM. It says TPM chip 2.0 or power failure. TPM chip, as far as I'm aware, is something to do with security for the console itself. And unfortunately, those chips can't be replaced because they are bound to the console. So if I had that error at the start, it would have been GG. I wouldn't have gone any further with this. But obviously, now that we've managed to fix certain things, I think what he's trying to do is go up to that next stage of the boot now, the post or the boot, whatever one it is. And it's hitting potentially the error of the TPM. Not giving up just yet. I'm just going to do some final inspections just to verify my findings. I want to see, first of all, if the TPM has been changed. Where is it? Here is thou TPM. Oh, does that look like it's been changed? Because dare I say, if this has been changed, I reckon it was fixable previously. I can't tell. Is there a missing component there? Wait. Hold on. There looks like there is meant to be a component there. Now, unless they've run over it with the soldering iron, it looks like to me there's meant to be a component there. Hold on. Check a donor, which does not give me faith that it hasn't been changed if that is the case. Is there a component? There is. There's a resistor. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Please tell me that the TPM hasn't been changed, and they've put maybe even the one that was taken off of the board back on. So I really hope this is the original TPM chip. That's all I'm asking for right now. What a fix this will be. What a fix this will be. Come on. Please. I don't know how this component's gone missing unless they've been in and around the TPM. So I am concerned in that respect, but hey ho. I've been given a little bit of like faith here. A little bit of the fishing rod to hang on to. Okay, that's on enough. It's not bouncing and bobbling like I'd like it to, but it's on. Please, please, please. What's going on with this cap here? I've just seen this cap as well. Why does that look so disheveled? Has this been attempted to be like replaced before or something? What's happened there? Is that a missing component here as well? What's that? It's like solder mounds here. What's going on? What's happened to this? I feel sorry for this component. I'm making sure there's no like short here. No, it's definitely not. I mean, maybe there was, and they changed that cap or something. All right, let me put it back in and spin it up again. Attempt 50,746. Now that I actually get the 5 volts as well, I'm going to screw the clamp back on just in case this decides, turn my multimeter off, to spin up. I don't want it overheating. That is for sure. I don't want any more damage to this board than what's already happened. Is it going to be something else, or is this going to fix it? This is why buying on eBay is very risky, peeps. As you've seen, it's been a string of just rabbit holes and different faults. It's never simple. The ones that are simple is very rare. Plugging it in, what do we get now? Do we get a beep on, beep off? Do we get no power? Do we get a turn on, turn off? Like, what happens? 3, 2, 1. It's different. Please go to a white light. Please make my day. Do not turn off. Go to a white light. It stayed on. That resistor. that little resistor was stopping the TPM from working. Please. Please go to a white light. Please. Are you doing some like database recovery right now or something? I think so, maybe. I'm going to plug the HDMI cable in and talk in a really high voice just in case. It's still a white light. It's still a blue light, sorry. I'm just putting the monitor on, HDMI 1. Please give me monitor lock. I get lock. I get lock. Restoring database. Black screen. Don't now just be a pulsing blue light of death, please. Not after all we've been through. A pulsing blue light of death can sometimes mean APU. I'm just hoping it's doing something. I can't see anything. There's nothing on the screen. It's just a black screen right now. It's locked onto HDMI 1, so it's recognized that something's plugged in, but it's just black screen. Is the APU getting hot? Yes. Yes, it is. It's definitely getting warm. Okay, I don't know whether to turn it off or not. I'll just leave it. It's giving me 3 beeps when I go to turn it off. So I feel like it's doing something, you know. Yeah, it's definitely warm. I'm going to have to hold it down. I have to. I'm going to have to turn it off because I haven't got a fan. I've got no cooling, nothing. I don't want this to blow. So I have to hold it down right now. Right, it's turned off. I might need to do something like reinstall the OS or something like that. One thing's for certain. I need to put the fan back in. What's good is that it's responded to the power button and me turning it off and on. That's really good. Right, let's take off UART. This is so teasing. The suspense is killing me. Can't imagine how you guys feel right now, not being in control of this situation. Okay, fan is attached to keep this thing cool as well. So let's plug that in. Plugging in the HDMI. And now I'm happy to at least just have it on and let it do its thing. Right, press the power button. Fan spin, which is really good. Again, still got blue light here. Does that have a disc? No, it doesn't, unfortunately. White light! Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Wait. Why has it gone to a white light all of a sudden? It just needed it off and on? Is that... Oh, it's back to a blue light. This is so good though. That means it's rebuilding the database. Let me see, please. Show me something on HDMI. Please. Nothing, but I think it's just because it's turned off and back on. Go to a white light. Because if it goes to a white light now, it's a really, really good thing. And if I get 3 beeps, it's even better. I get PS logo. It's going to go to a white light. And we're going to hear the 3 beeps. Please. Oh, it's stuck on PS logo. Why is it stuck on PS logo? Why is it stuck on the PlayStation logo? Oh, it's off the PlayStation logo. Wait there. And it's now just a black screen. But we still have the blue light. Oh no. And now we have the 3 beeps again when I go to push the power button. I'm going to see if I can boot it into safe mode and clear the cache and database and all that stuff, because maybe the database itself is corrupt. I mean, this is good though. It means she's alive. Do we go into safe mode? That is the big question here. Let's go. Hold it down. Give me another beep, please. I get another beep. Safe mode. Cool. Can't show you at the moment, but I'm on the menu. I'm on the PS5 menu, which is really, really good. I'm going to clear cache and rebuild database, okay? Go from there. See what happens. Clear cache and database did not work, so what I had to do was go for a fresh install completely with a PS5 update file, and it finished completed, and then we went straight back onto the Sony logo. Then it was just solid blue light. As you can see from my furious finger tapping, I am not a happy bunny. It could be down to a plethora of reasons as to why this doesn't work. The first thing that springs to my mind is SSD controller, and that's because I've changed it for one that I had on a donor board. As well as the fact we could be going around in this circle whereby that could have been the first issue that these people had when they tried to fix the console, and they tried changing out the SSD controller first, then the South Bridge, then they messed up the HDMI, and it could have just been a knock-on effect of everything. So maybe I have reversed engineered everything back to the original fault that we had, or it could be that we have bad SSD chips. That is also very, very possible. So with a complete reinstallation of the PS5 software, we have the exact same outcome. I'm going to try, for peace of mind, to swap out the SSD controller. That's the first thing I'm going to try. And then we're going to go from there. We can see that there's quite a bit more of the solder mask that is exposing itself. Don't necessarily believe that the way we installed the chip before was bad, because it turns on and it works. In a lot of the cases, if you install a chip bad, it's just not going to turn on. Do you know what I mean? So this is obviously taken a bit more of a battering now. So there are some bits that I can see we need to cover up with a little bit of conformal coating again and just install the new chip. Right, here we go. I'll fast forward through this, but I'm going to put the other chip on now. Well, this job is about to get a lot longer. Look what happened. Right on the corner up there. These solder balls have just formed together, unfortunately. I don't use my tap method anymore, but it must have been something in the prep more so, I think, because everything else seems to be okay. It's just one corner of the chip. Look, we can see here, it looks really good. And then we get to this side, and I saw that little tinge. You see that on the left? I saw that reflection. I was like, no, because it's not going to be flux anymore, because I hardly use any flux underneath. But then we have that. Yep. Me putting flux here, by the way, isn't gonna solve that, I think, because the pad is exposed underneath, and because they're quite badly exposed now. Where we have here, I mean, I could try a little bit, but I just don't think it's gonna work. No, look, you can see not happening. So what I need to do now, because I've used both of the SSD controllers that I balled, I now have to reball this whole SSD controller and specifically make sure that this corner does not join up again. So that's going to be another 30 minutes at least, I'd say, for that process. So yeah, I'm just saying this now, right? And do you know what? This is the corner where it was happening, and there's not even any exposed pads here specifically. It's everywhere else, but this is the corner. This is the exact corner where it was happening. Maybe it was just too big of a ball on the chip, even though the chip looked good. I have no idea, but it is what it is. We go again. Persistence. Now that is exposed copper. What we see up here, that is exposed. And yeah, like I said, a lot of these areas, again, I'm probably going to have to just go over with some solder mask. It's actually not horrendous, to be fair, considering that I think a lot of the places that have already come up with solder mask I've gone over. So it's actually okay. It's just the rebooting of the chip, which is obviously going to be a little bit time consuming, but there's a couple of places where I can add a bit more solder mask, but it's a lot better than what I thought. But this is the area, again, now that it's all clean, right? This is the area where we had those two balls that were joined, and look, it looks okay to me. And it would have been right on the outside, so it would have been here. So I must have just maybe had a bit too big of a ball on the SSD controller, which joined up, unfortunately. This is voiceover Joey here, just coming in to say that, as you can see, the reball process was a massive success. I now take my tweezers just to make sure that the solder balls are no longer molten, which they weren't. However, I'm a fool. I then tried to clean some of the flux off the chip without realising the solder balls were still molten, which squished them and meant I had to start the process again. Yep, that's me. This is live. I've just finished reflowing it into place. And I want to see if this area... Oh, I need to move the camera up. I want to see if this area is joined again or not. Moment of truth. It doesn't look it, even though it's out of focus. Yes! Okay, fine. All right. Okay, sweet. So it didn't conjoin again. That's what we love to see. That side's good as well. This side can be troublesome as well. Nope, that looks good to me. Okay, and the final side... No, it's conjoined. I don't believe it. All of that. Oh, man. So I looked here, look, and it wasn't conjoined. I was like, yay, all happy. And then I turn it around. And that is the situation I'm dealing with. Well, I'm going to go to the gym to blow off some steam, I think. I haven't left yet. But, I mean, this is so cool, but also I hate it, you know. If I heat the chip up and I'm holding the board, you can see, look, watch. Solder's doing its thing, but it's just not separating. For love nor money. I don't believe it. I'm so upset. Angry, fuming, all that patience for nothing. They're not even close, honestly. It just makes no sense. I'm so angry. Must be the... I don't know if it's the IC, you know? Now we've got even more exposed copper. This is just getting worse and worse every single time. These are bridges that I can obviously see on the outside. Lord only knows what's going on underneath the IC. That's the issue, right? What I will say is, what I'll show you actually is that, yeah, look, you can see here as well. We've just exposed a bunch more. A lot of this stuff in the center of it connects. It's usually okay because a lot of it is ground, so it's actually all right. But what I did in the corner that we just saw that was bridged, I specifically put a bunch of conformal coating in between, or solder mask in between all of these, and the two that were connected was this one here and this one, and you can see that they are not meant to be connected. So I did check on one of the recordings to see what pads were connected. I believe it was these two, and they are not meant to be connected, so it definitely would not have worked. So again, to say that I'm annoyed is an understatement. What does that mean? Of course it means I'm going to try again, because I've got this video absolutely relies on it. If I can get this working, what a story it will be. I've got to just add some more conformal coating now, reball. I don't know whether to just go with another SSD controller. I might just go with a separate one, you know. That one's giving me bad luck. I've got to do all the additional solder mask down here as well, not to mention everything that you see in the middle as well. Lord glove. At this moment in time, I decided to spin up a live stream. I needed some company in my time of despair, to which I actually reballed another two SSD controllers just to make sure in case I messed one of them up. Luckily, it was successful. Now on to the test. So, as you probably just saw from either me talking or something along those lines, the SSD controller has been changed. I was going a little bit crazy. I have checked and confirmed that there's no bridges now around the SSD controller, which is amazing. Are we going to get something different, or is it going to work? What is the situation going to be? 3, 2, 1. Does it turn on? Okay, it's not beep on, beep off. Here we go. I'm buckling myself in right now. It's gone to a white light, which is really good. Is it going to go back to a blue light, though, because of everything that's happened? If it stays a white light, I'm going to be so happy. Okay. It's just gone back to a blue light. Doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean it's bad. Let's just check. I'm going to check and see if I've got a display, and that it's hopefully not just a black screen, because if it's a black screen, it's not good news. It's PS logo. I'm going to take a shot in the dark here, and I'm going to try and reinstall the OS again, just in case. If not, I have no idea. So unfortunately, I had this whole thing planned where I got my phone out, and I was going to show my face, and I was going to show the screen, which showed that the PS5 had been reset and that I had an image. But then it just all of a sudden went black, and the PlayStation 5 turned off. I tried to replicate getting that image up so I could show you, and I can't do that. So the issue is still persisting, whereby the console is not A, staying on, and B, I'm not able to go through setup or anything like that. That image was on the screen for maybe about 10 seconds before the console just randomly shut off. I've got a feeling this is either going to be SSD chips or the cache. That's it. Those are the only two guesses that I've got left of this whole thing. And if I'm honest, I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to continue or, am I just digging myself a deeper hole here where I could be doing something else? Now buckle in. Are you ready for this? Ignore the fact that I'm in a dressing gown, because at this point, it's not relevant. I span up another live stream because again, I just wanted some company. The first thing that I did was swapped out the SSD cache for the PS5, which is a small IC that is just below the SSD controller. After swapping that out, it was also suggested by Eagles, aka Marv in the chat, to hold the power button down whilst plugging in the power cable because it does some sort of cache memory reset. So I'd done that as well. And unfortunately, it was the exact same outcome. I then thought to myself, do you know what? What about if it's something as simple as the power supply and I've just not tried to change it out yet? So I done exactly that. I tried another power supply. Here's the result of that. Exactly the same outcome. Now it was time for the big boy move. Changing out 3 SSD chips that we have surrounding the SSD controller. 2 of them are on one side and there is another one on the other side. Now you cannot change all of the SSDs. You can only change these 3. And the reason being is because the other 2 or 3, I can't remember how many there are paired with the motherboard. So you can't swap them out unless you were to do some programming stuff, which obviously I don't have a Scooby on how to do. And this is the result of changing out the SSD chips. This is going to turn on and go to a white light like it did before, right? It's just other tests that I need to do, I don't know about if it's actually going to work, but it will go to a white light, right? 3, 2, 1. I've not broken it, and that was using a lot less flux. That's good news. Now's the important part. Something went wrong. Your console needs to be reset to factory defaults to continue. Select OK. All right. It's good that it's seen that it's come back on. It's going through a reset now, which is really, really good because, again, it shows that it looks quite positive that I installed those chips correctly, because otherwise I feel like we would have had issues already. So it's resetting to factory defaults. And like I said, it's good that it prompted that I need to do this, and it wasn't like I had to put it into safe mode and manually do it. It went straight to that screen and said, you need to restart this PS5 because something's different. That's a really good sign that you've done something successfully, in my opinion. I've never had an SSD fix. I've had SSD controller fixes, loads of them. I've never had an actual SSD fix. I don't know. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Exactly the same issue. I also, at pretty much every single step of what I'm talking about, either cleared the cache and rebuilt the database, as well as installed the reinstallation file fresh for the PS5 from Sony's website. Because that didn't work, I thought there's only one more thing that I can do, which is change the BIOS to a digital version and see if I can get some life into it that way. And after trying that, it was the exact same thing. I could pour more hours into this, I could, but I've already spent an incredible amount of time on this device. Probably about 5 hours ago is when it went past being actually worth it to make a profit for it, unfortunately. As much as it hurts for me to say that, I need to draw the line somewhere, and I feel like I really gave this a good go. Let's head on over to Sally's spectacular spreadsheet to round this up and update some stuff. First things first, episode number 39, PS5 disc, minus £158.41 for this PS5. I am not going to sell this. I've got the SSD controller on it, I've got the Southbridge, I know they're good chips, and the board itself isn't in bad condition, so I'm going to keep this board and just soak up the 158.41 cost, because realistically I'm only going to be able to sell it for about 110 pounds. I have sold the PS5 digital and Nintendo Switch from episode number 37. The PS5 was a discounted one, and I've received a message from the person saying they've received it and it's working absolutely fine, so I'm super happy that the chip we changed out fixed the issue with that. 21209, estimated profit was 54.41. Our net profit on that is £48.10. The Switch, I thought I was going to get £100 for this Nintendo Switch because it wasn't just the tablet, it was the Joy-Cons as well. I sold it for £77.24, which gave me a net profit of £23.25. The estimated profit was £37.01. I'm not going to grumble. That episode was £71.35 profit. And on this screen, you can see episode number 37. It was only an hour's worth of work, so that was 71 quid in an hour, which is nice. I sold this faulty PlayStation 5 as well. It came back for a total of 113.76, which lost me £52.23, unfortunately, rather than the profit we had previously. Meaning for episode number 33, we are minus 58.18. That was an hour's worth of work, but we lost 60 quid in that hour, so that's not great. Now I've just added up all the footage that I've recorded for this PS5, and as we can see here, it's minus 158.41. It's been 5 hours worth of work in total, meaning that it's minus £31.68 an hour that I've lost with this PS5. Meaning that so far in the series, our totally hourly profit is £13.29, which still isn't bad. I think it's just above minimum wage in the UK. Yeah, minimum wage in the UK is £12.21, so we're above minimum wage. Lovely jubbly. But we have taken quite a bit of a beating on our actual total profit, which is now £1,342.47 out of the possible £2,000 target. It was honestly going so well until it wasn't, I guess. The fact that I've also soaked up the cost of 2 PS5s recently has brought that price down a bit, but my PS5 stockpile is running a little bit low because I've used pretty much everything from season 1 now. Donor boards I'm okay, but stuff like power supplies is nice to have. If you got this far, comment dressing gown down below in the comment section. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.